Hi all. So in this video we'll be knowing about a topic called clubbing of income. This is in fact in many materials and legally also the name given by the income tax law is income of other person's income included in assessee's total income. That is how generally it is called, and we'll be quickly knowing about all the provisions what are there in this clubbing of income. So section 60 to section 65 are the provisions which are covering this topic, clubbing of income. First of all, what do you mean by clubbing? Clubbing means what? Clubbing of income is nothing but generally if an assessee earns income, you know very well as per the Income Tax Act 1961, such income will be taxed in the hands of the person who earns that income. Whereas in case of clubbing, what generally happens is income is earned by one person, whereas it is taxed in the hands of some other person. Say, for example, income of a minor. When a minor earns income, it is not possible to tax such income in the hands of the minor. Hence, such income should be taxed in someone's hands. Now, who is that someone? Such someone might be the parents. So, in the hands of the parents, minus income shall be included. This is just one example of clubbing of income. Because you know very well, as per Mohiri Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh case law, an agreement with or by a minor is altogether void. Minor can only be a beneficiary. So, keeping these points, the income earned by the minor will not be included in his hands, rather it will be included or taxed in the hands of his parents, barring a few exceptional cases. We'll discuss all those points in detail when we come to the respective section. Now, to start off with, first we have to start with section 60. It talks about transfer of income without the transfer of asset. Now, when an assessee transfers an income arising out of an asset without transferring the asset to other person, and such transfer may be either direct or indirect transfer, such kind of cases, the income earned by the transferee will be clubbed in the hands of transferor only. So say for example, Mr. X earns income out of the go down. Now, he transfers such income to, say for example, his son who is a major, but he does not transfer the asset. That is, he does not transfer the go down, he only transfers the income. Now, why do X transfer his income to his son? Obviously, it's very clear, in order to avoid excessive amount of tax, because in our country, income tax is progressive in nature. So the more you earn, the more you have to pay the tax. So in order to avoid payment of taxes, what Mr. X does is he transfers his income to his son, but he does not transfer the asset. Now, there is a very clear intention of Mr. X that he wants to avoid payment of tax on the same. Since he has done this, now law says as per section 60, the income earned by his son, yes, even though he is a major, still such income will be clubbed in the hands of Mr. X only, because he has transferred only the income, not the asset. So this is what is in section 60. Now, since section 60 says you should transfer your asset also, not only the income, you should also transfer the asset. Hence, see what X does in the next section, section 61, which talks about revocable transfer of asset. Now, what do you basically mean by revocable transfer? Section 63 defines the term revocable transfer. That means nothing but asset is transferred by transferor to transferee with a condition that the asset should come back to the transferor during his lifetime. So when the asset comes back to the transferor during his lifetime, that means it is called revocable transfer. So revocable means nothing but taking back. So I gave you the asset, I am going to take back the asset. Now, when will I take back the asset? Obviously, after you receive the income on that asset, I will take back that asset. That is called as revocable transfer. So in case of revocable transfer, the transferor has a right to reassume the power over the asset, or the asset comes back to the transferor during his lifetime. That is basically called as what? Revocable transfer. Now, since here the transferor is no doubt transferring the asset, but he is taking it back again from the transferee after transferee receives the income. And here also there is a clear intention of the transferor to avoid the tax, and he is transferring the asset only for temporary period of time in order to follow section 60. But section 61 very clearly says, since it is a revocable transfer, the income arising to the transferee will be taxable in the hands of transferor only. Why? Because it is a revocable transfer. And I have also given you the definition of revocable transfer in section 63. Then 62 deals with irrevocable transfer. Irrevocable means what? A transferor transfers the asset and he does not get back the right over the asset during his lifetime. That means what? Till he is alive, he will not get back the asset. During his lifetime means till he is alive, he will not get back the asset. So when he does not get back the asset, there is no question of clubbing arising. So clubbing provisions are not attracted in case of irrevocable transfer. Similarly, if an asset was transferred prior to 1/4/1961, that is prior to our Income Tax Act, and if it is not revocable within a period of 6 years, then also it will be treated as a irrevocable transfer. And in such case of irrevocable transfer also, clubbing provisions are not attracted. You have to keep that point in your mind. So this is about your section 60, 61, 62, 63. 4 sections. Very simple. Now comes your section 64. In section 64, there are subsections and clauses. Let us see one by one. First one, section 64, subsection 1, clause 2. 2 is Roman 2 here. Please, not numerical 2. Now, section 64, subsection 1, clause 2 deals with remuneration of spouse. Remuneration of spouse. Now, what section 64, subsection 1, clause 2 says is, if an assessee has substantial interest in an organization and such organization pays remuneration to the spouse of that assessee, and such a spouse do not have any professional or technical qualification to justify such a remuneration, then the remuneration received by the spouse will be taxable in the hands of the assessee. So let us take one small example. Mr. X has substantial interest in A Limited. Now, what is substantial interest? Substantial interest means having 20% of capital in that company. In case of company, it means how much? 20%, holding 20% of voting power or capital in the company. In case of other concerns, it is nothing but holding or receiving 20% share of profits. Now, one question arises here: should assessee alone hold, or can his family members or relatives also can hold? Now, that is the clarification given by law here. Here, holding substantial interest need not be by assessee alone. Assessee along with his family members must hold 20%, at least 20% voting power in case of a company, or in case of another concern or any other concern, he must receive at least how much? 20% of profit. Now for this purpose, who is a family member? Family member means spouse of the assessee, parents of the assessee, children of the assessee, brothers and sisters of the assessee. So let us take one example. Mr. X holds, assume 25% share in A Limited, and A Limited pays remuneration to Mrs. X, and Mrs. X do not possess any qualification to justify that remuneration. Then what law says is, Mrs. X, whatever remuneration she has received, such remuneration will be clubbed in the hands of whom? Mr. X only. Why? Because it is Mr. X who is holding substantial interest, and due to which that company is paying salary or remuneration to Mrs. X. So please understand, which concern will pay remuneration to some individual without having any qualification? So that itself is a very clear indication that instead of X receiving the salary, he is diverting the salary to Mrs. X in order to avoid taxation. Now, so any remuneration received by Mrs. X will be taxed in the hands of Mr. X. In case Mrs. X has some qualification to justify the remuneration, then no problem, clubbing provisions will not get attracted. Some circumstances, what happens is both Mr. X and Mrs. X will hold a substantial interest, and both will be in receipt of remuneration from such concern. So X holds 15%, Mrs. X holds 5% in A Limited. Now when X holds 15% and his wife holds 5%, that means X along with his family member is holding 20%. Same way, when Mrs. X holds 5% and the husband holds, that is Mr. X holds 15%, which means Mrs. X also holds substantial interest. And now when both Mr. X, that is husband and wife, both receive substantial interest and both are in receipt of remuneration from the concern and both do not possess any qualification, then in whose hands that clubbing must be done? First of all, will clubbing provisions get attracted? Answer is yes. Then in whose hands the clubbing must be done? Law says clubbing must be done in the hands of that individual whose total income before clubbing, that is before including this remuneration, whosever total income is greater, then the clubbing must be done in the hands of such individual whosever total income is greater. Are you clear about this one? Yes. Then law also says one point, before clubbing the income, one point you should keep in mind, the marriage relationship of both, that is Mr. X and Mrs. X, must exist. If marriage relationship does not exist, they are not called as husband and wife. Then when they are not called as husband and wife, clubbing will not get attracted. So simple example I'll tell you, if X and Mrs. X are already married, later on they got divorced. When they have got divorced, that means the marriage relationship does not exist. So once the marriage relationship does not exist, automatically clubbing provisions will not get attracted. This is what is there in section 64 subsection 1 clause 2, and most often questions are being asked from this section. Then 64 subsection 1 clause 4, this talks about transfer of asset to spouse. Transfer of asset to spouse. Now in 64 subsection 1 clause 4, what law says is, an assessee must transfer an asset to the spouse, and such asset should not be house property. Please bear this point in your mind. Why, sir? Why it should not be a house property? It should not be house property because if you transfer a house property, what happens? It will amount to deemed ownership, and section 27 of the Income Tax Act will get attracted. Section 27 is covered under income from house property. So it will amount to deemed ownership. So that concept will get attracted. That is the reason why you should not transfer an asset which is a house property. So you transferred any other asset to the spouse, there is no problem at all. But such a transfer must be for inadequate consideration, and it should be without an agreement to live apart. So please observe this one, without an agreement to live apart. That means that transfer should not happen because of divorce. Because generally when two people are divorced, court will order the husband to pay some remuneration or transfer his personal asset to the wife in order to take care of the wife. That is the reason why it should be transferred without an agreement to live apart. Because if it is transferred with an agreement to live apart, what happens? Clubbing provisions will not get attracted, as simple as that. So number one, asset must be transferred to the spouse. Second, such asset should not be a house property. Third, such asset should be transferred without adequate consideration, or you can say for inadequate consideration, it has to be transferred. Either ways. Fourth, the asset, whatever is transferred, it should be without an agreement to live apart. If all these conditions are satisfied, yes, then the income arising to the spouse from such asset will be transferred, will be clubbed in the hands of the transferor. So all we are seeing here only is about the income, not about the asset. Asset will remain as it is with the spouse. Only we are talking about the income, because income only is taxable, no, not the asset. Now, some sensible spouses, what they do is, whatever asset they got from the husbands, especially with regard to money. If husband gifted 3 lakhs to wife, this is the area where questions are being asked. Please be careful. If husband gifted 3 lakhs to his wife and wife immediately invested that money in the business, and that business fetched some amount of profits. Now, should that profits be clubbed in the hands of the husband or not? For this, you have to check when was the money invested in the business. That is, was it invested on 1st April of the financial year or in between or middle of the financial year? If the money was invested on the beginning day, nothing but 1st day of the financial year, nothing but April 1st, then definitely it will form part of the opening capital of whom? Of the spouse. Capital account, when we draw, what we say? Introduction during the year. Yes or no? So it forms part of opening capital of the spouse. Only if the amount gifted by the husband forms part of opening capital, that year profit only should be clubbed in the hands of husband. So what I'm trying to tell, let us take one example. Husband gave 3 lakhs to wife on 10th April. Wife immediately invested it in the business. 10th April 2019, assume. Immediately she invested in the business. In 2019-20, there was a profit of, say, for example, 5 lakhs. Now, this profit of 5 lakhs should not be clubbed in the hands of the husband. Huh? Why, sir? Yes, because the husband gifted 3 lakhs to wife on which day? 10th April. That was not forming part of the opening capital of the business. Hence, that 5 lakhs, whatever was earned in financial year 2019-20, should not be clubbed in the hands of the husband. Now, come to the next year, 2020-21. The business earned a profit of 7 lakhs. Now, next year's profit, should it be clubbed in the hands of the husband? Answer is yes. Why? Because 2019-20 capital account balance will get carried forward to the next year, 2020-21. That's what we write now. Balance carried down, balance brought down. So the capital balance which is there as on 1st April 2020, that is 2021 financial year I'm talking of, it includes even husband's share. Yes. Now 2020-21's profit should be clubbed in the hands of the husband. Now, in what ratio you will club it in the hands of the husband? In the ratio of the money what he gifted to the wife. That's why we say what? Basing on opening capital. You have to club it in the hands of the husband. Hope you are clear with this point. Now, section 64, subsection 1, clause 6. Now, this talks about transfer of asset to son's wife. Now, that means daughter-in-law. So, please understand. Till now, if the assessee transferred the house to spouse, you clubbed in his hands. So, assessee is very well aware that even if he transfer the house to son also, you will club. Because wife, son, everything is same family member. But when it comes to daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law is a girl belonging to some other family. After marrying the assessee's son, she became daughter-in-law of this house. Now, what assessee thought is, I will transfer the asset to my daughter-in-law, so that clubbing provisions will not be attracted. But law did not leave this area also. Law told, point number 1, for clubbing provisions to get attracted, certain conditions are required to be satisfied. Point number 1, asset must be transferred by father-in-law or mother-in-law to daughter-in-law. Okay, ma'am? So either father-in-law or mother-in-law, either of them can transfer it to daughter-in-law. Point number 2, or condition number 2, such a transfer must be for inadequate consideration. Point number 3, such transfer, the relationship of father-in-law, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law must exist on the day of clubbing. That means indirectly, listen, the sons and the daughter-in-law's relationship, that is husband and wife relationship, should exist, is what law is telling. And condition number 4, such a transfer must happen on or after 31st May 1973. Now you might ask, what is the relevance of 31st May 1973? Mind you, this section got incorporated only with effect on 31st May 1973. That is the reason why the transfer must happen on or after 31st May 1973. It may be either direct transfer or indirect transfer. The income arising to the daughter-in-law will be clubbed in the hands of father-in-law or mother-in-law. Now again, same way how we have seen in section 64, subsection 1, clause 4, same way, if daughter-in-law invests the money in the business and if the business earns some profits, should the profit be clubbed in the hands of father-in-law or mother-in-law? Answer is yes, provided such money what they gifted, yes, should form part of the opening capital. Yes, ICA material has given 2 beautiful problems on this one. You can please go through those problems also. Then section 64, subsection 1, clause 7. Now, what assessee felt is, if I transfer to my spouse, there is a problem. If I transfer to my son also, there's a problem. If I transfer to my son's wife also, there's a problem. So now see what I will do. Asset transferred to third party for the benefit of spouse. So see what the assessee is doing. He is transferring the asset to some third person for the benefit of spouse. It is just like a trust. So asset is transferred by the assessee to a trust or to some third party with a condition that any income arising from that house property to the trust should be given to whom? The spouse. And such transfer must be for inadequate consideration. The relationship between the assessee and the spouse, that is marriage relationship, should exist. Then the income whatever is arising to the spouse will be again clubbed in the hands of the transfer. That is what is given in section 64, subsection 1, clause 7. Then 64, subsection 1, clause 8. Now see what assessee is doing. Asset transferred for to the third party for the benefit of son's wife. See, our Indians very knowledgeable people. Yes. See, if I transfer to my spouse only, you have a problem. No. So what I will do, I'll transfer it to third party for the benefit of my son's wife. Now our income tax law, even more sensible than Indians. What they told as per section 64, subsection 1, clause 8 was, if assessee transferred the asset to a third party for the benefit of son's wife, and such transfer is for inadequate consideration, and the relationship between father-in-law, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law exists as on the day of clubbing, then clubbing provisions will get attracted, and the income arising to the daughter-in-law should be clubbed in the hands of father-in-law or mother-in-law, whoever transferred the property to the trust. Are you clear about this one? Yes. Now, Having said this, one more important section is there in clubbing called section 64 subsection 1 capital A. Section 64 subsection 1 capital A. It talks about income earned by a minor. First and the foremost thing, keep this point in your mind. If minor earns an income out of his own skill or talent, or minor suffers from disabilities specified under section 80U, then clubbing provisions will not get attracted. So income arising to the minor out of his own skill or talent, or if minor is suffering from disability specified under section 80U, clubbing provisions will not get attracted. Now you might ask, sir, you are telling if minor suffers from disability under 80U, okay sir, there he will claim deduction, well and good. But what about income arising out of his own skill or talent? You only told just now, Moiri Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh case law, minor can only be a beneficiary. Now how will the income tax department collect the tax if you say clubbing is not applicable? That is why, let us take one example. Let us take, say for example, a minor earned prize money in Kaun Banega Karodpati competition. Okay. Now when A earned that prize money, it is out of his own skill or talent. Hence clubbing will not get attracted. Correct? Correct. Then how that income will be taxed in the hands of minor? That is why, to avoid these kind of ambiguities, what the payer of the money says is, or payer of the money does is, they deduct TDS straight away 30% from that income and pay the balance to the minor. Not only to minor, anyone, because it is a casual income. You know, section 194B of the TDS will get attracted. So what happens? They straight away deduct 30% and give the balance money. So if minor earns 10 lakhs, in his hand he will get only 7 lakh rupees. Now don't go by the TV show and all what you have seen, where they give a check of 10 lakhs. Because you'll start comparing, sir, I have seen check of 10 lakhs. My dear, check of 10 lakhs, yes, it is his prize money, no doubt. But they give net check after the show is getting completed. They give a net check of rupees 7 lakhs only, because they deduct 30% straight away and pay the balance. So there is no problem to the income tax department also. Why to do clubbing again? Because already they are receiving 30% straight away in the form of TDS. Over that income is already charged to tax. Hence, no clubbing get attracted. However, if minor earns income in any other case, like interest on company deposit, yes, such kind of, or gifts from friends of the parent, such kind of incomes and all should be clubbed in the hands of the parent. Now, when it comes to parent, in whose hand it should be clubbed? Mother or father? Generally, you as a student will tell father. It's not like that. Please understand, don't take father for granted always. The law says the clubbing should be done in the hands of the parent whose total income before clubbing is greater. Are you clear? The parents whose total income before clubbing is greater. Now, you will get it out. Sir, what if both the parents' income are equal? My dear, law also has no answer in such grounds. Law has given you the provision assuming one of the parents' income will be greater. That's it. And you will not get such kind of questions also in the exam. Don't worry. That is where the parents' income is equal. That and all they will not ask you, because law only does not have any answer. Provided. Now, we told it should be in the hands of the parent whose total income is greater. Now, condition is provided the marriage relationship of father and mother must exist on the day of clubbing. That means both should be married. Okay. That does not mean always clubbing will be done in the hands of the parent whose total income is greater. Listen, in case the marriage relationship between the parents do not exist, that means parents have divorced, then in whose hands the clubbing has to be done? Clubbing has to be done in the hands of the parent who maintains the minor. Who maintains the minor. Such parents' hands only clubbing must be done. Now, for this purpose, here minor means own child, stepchild, adopted child, or a minor married daughter also. Please observe this one, minor married daughter. This kind of points they are asking you in the form of multiple choice question. B, a minor married girl earns so and so income. Such income should be clubbed in the hands of dash. First point, to tempt you, he will give you husband. Second point, he will tell you father or parents whose total income is greater. Third one, he'll tell either A or B. Fourth one, he'll tell none of the above. Now, once you saw the word husband, you will recollect, array, somewhere in the video and all we learned, no, yes, income should be clubbed in the hands of a husband because she is already married. Hence, you will start writing the answer husband, which is wrong. Even though the girl is married, since she is a minor, it should be clubbed in the hands of the parent only. It should be clubbed in the hands of parent only. Even though, that is why we say minor includes own child, stepchild, adopted child, or a minor married daughter also. Then one more small concept is there here called cross transfers. Now, this question also they are asking you for 2 marks in the exam, sometimes in the form of MCQs also they are asking. What do you mean by cross transfer? Let us take, till now in all the cases what we have seen is if you transfer the amount directly only, there is a problem. No, so what our Indians, I told already, they are sensible people. What they did is, see, I'll just explain one case, then I'll tell you what is cross transfer. Mr. A gifts 1 lakh to son of Mr. B. Observe carefully. Mr. A gifts 1 lakh to son of Mr. B. Son of Mr. B. Now, and that fellow is a minor. Assume that son is a minor. Now, what B does is, B gifts 1 lakh to minor son of A. So see what A is doing. A is gifting to son of Mr. B. What B is doing? B is gifting to son of Mr. A. That means, are both the things crossing each other or not? Yes or no? Answer is yes. That is why this is called as cross transfer. Now, listen. Both the sons, that is son of A and son of B, have deposited the money in the fixed deposit, and that is fetching some amount of revenue. Now, that revenue or that income should be clubbed in whose hands? Such income, law says such income should be clubbed in the hands of the respective parent. That is, A's income should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. A. B's sons, that is a son of B who earns income, his income should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. B. So income derived by son of A should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. A. Income derived by son of B should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. B. This is when equal transfers are happening. A transferred 1 lakh, B also transferred 1 lakh. What if A transferred 1 lakh whereas B transferred 1,50,000? Then what will happen? Listen carefully. When the amounts are not equal, then clubbing should be done only up to an equal amount. That means, now when A gifted 1 lakh to son of Mr. B, B gifted 1,50,000 to son of Mr. A, and both of them deposited the money in the fixed deposit. Income arising to the son of Mr. A up to 1 lakh only should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. A. That means the son of Mr. A will get income on 1,50,000. No. Now you have to calculate proportionate income up to 1 lakh. Say for example, he earned 3,000 rupees income on 1 lakh, 1,50,000. Okay. Now how much is for 1 lakh? You have to calculate. How will you calculate 3,000 into 1 lakh divided by 1,50,000? That much amount, whatever you arrive, that only should be clubbed in the hands of Mr. A, not the income earned on 1,50,000, because A gifted only 1 lakh. So clubbing should be done only up to the income to the arrived to the extent of 1 lakh rupee, not in excess of 1 lakh rupee. Sir, then what about that additional 50,000? That 50,000 will be clubbed in the hands of Mr. B only. Hope every one of you are clear. Yes. So this is with this, we come to an end of clubbing of income topic, and hope this video was very much helpful for you. Stay tuned for more videos. Bye bye.